Welcome back to the Brew Bucks podcast. My name is Jacob.
And I'm Alec.
On this podcast, we interview successful entrepreneurs, personal finance creators, speakers, authors, and everything in between.
We like to keep things casual around here by cracking a beer with our guests at the beginning of every show. There's nothing quite like having a conversation with your friend while sipping on a cold one.
If you're looking to learn more about money and entrepreneurship, all while having some fun along the way, this podcast is for you. Welcome back to episode number 36 of the Brew Bucks podcast. Alec, how we doing?
It is great to be back as always. I'm delighted to be your co-host today on this beautiful sunny Californian day.
It is nice and sunny after a couple days of rain. Agreed.
Yeah, I'm just rubbing it in because I figure mid-November, probably some of our fans have snow outside their windows, so it's nice and sunny here.
Alec, you're moving out.
I know, but the next town over should still be sunny. But yes, I am finally moving out. In case you guys didn't know, Jake and I have been roommates for about 5 years now. Damn.
Yeah, we've been together a long time.
Yeah, this is going to be our first Christmas away in 5 years from each other. So
I know. He hung on for a long time.
yeah, probably longer than I should have, but that's okay. I blame my girlfriend for that. But enough about that. Let's go into our question of the day.
Yeah, what we got?
So this question comes from Erica in South Carolina. Shout out to Erica. Thanks for writing to us. She writes, I don't hear you too often talk about crypto. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, so we actually have the start of next year, we're going to have an entire episode on crypto. Someone who maybe knows a lot more about cryptocurrency than we do. We definitely know a good chunk, but not nearly as much as some of the other people out there. My take on crypto, I think that it is starting to follow the market as a whole, where I don't think that the general stock market and cryptocurrency used to be related, but I really feel like it's becoming more and more attached to what standard markets are doing. And so I think with, when the market drops a little bit, we're seeing crypto drop dramatically. When we're seeing the markets go up a little bit, we're seeing crypto go up dramatically. And so I think it's really starting to be tied to the market as a whole. I think the technology of cryptocurrency will be a game changer at some point. I think, again, that piece of the puzzle, like cryptocurrency is a really cool, phenomenal thing. I just don't know how long it's going to take for all of society to adopt it as a whole, And I think too many people are trying to get rich quick off of it and not use it as a form of investing for the long term. And that's where so many people are getting burned. They are, oh my God, Ethereum's up to $4,000. I'm going to dump a bunch of money in. And now Ethereum's over here at $1,500, And I think a lot of people are losing their asses on it, which is really sad. So that part sucks. Like, I do have money in cryptocurrency, but again, it's a small percentage of my portfolio that is meant to, one, manage some of the FOMO, but two, just kind of be another asset class that who knows what's going to happen. Who knows, when crypto will widely be adopted and used as, for regular transactions and stuff. But I don't think it's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, and I like how you kind of brought up how it's sticking more to the standard market where, we can look at the stock market, go back 80, 90 years and do at least some type of valuation of where we think we might be. You can look over a 40-year market, be like, okay, it's kind of stuck at 8% going up, but you can't do it with crypto. And I think there was so many people getting rich quick off crypto. Like you said, it was the FOMO, it was the missing out. People wanted to jump onto that without actually doing the research. I was one of them for sure. During COVID, I made money off Shiba and off Doge. I did the whole Reddit coins, and I made more money than I should have off those. And I think a lot of people saw people making money off that and think I can do this with any coin. And that's not the way. So I think what you say with it kind of slowing down, matching the market is much more how it's going to stick to in the future, I think.
Yeah, it's like playing the lottery. Again, a couple people absolutely got lucky. A couple people got extremely lucky, but the vast majority of people hopped on the bandwagon way too late and got burned because of it. And I think that part's sad. So anywho, enough about crypto. Let's talk about our guest today. We interviewed our buddy, Jonathan Dempsey. He is a awesome dude out of Pennsylvania who shares his story about short-term rentals and how you can acquire a short-term rental, get it furnished, and get it managed all in a one-stop shop. He is super knowledgeable. You can tell he's a freak in the sheets, as he put it. Excel sheets, guys. Get your mind out of the gutter, okay? But he's truly driven with like numbers, and his whole mindset behind like the live free movement, I think, is really cool as well. And just being able to do what you want with your time by using short-term rentals as a way to get there, I think is huge. And he's got a great story, great energy, and all around just a good dude. So I hope you guys enjoy the interview, and here we go. This episode of Brewbucks is supported by Capitalize. Alec, did you know that there's about $1.3 trillion in forgotten 401k money?
Wow, that sounds like a lot of money to be left on the table. Why is this happening?
Well, people are constantly changing jobs, especially in this day and age. When people change jobs, often one of the last things on their mind is taking their 401k with them by rolling it over to an IRA.
Unfortunately, I think a lot of people don't like spending hours on the phone trying to get something like this done.
And that's why Capitalize is such a great solution. I was completely shocked when I learned about Capitalize. They do everything for you for free. Yes, I mean completely free. All you have to do is tell them who your old 401k is with, and they will help you roll it over to an IRA with ease with whoever you want.
In the show notes, we have listed a link to Capitalize for all you Brewbucks listeners. Head on over so you can get your old 401k rolled over today.
JD, my man, welcome to the Brewbucks podcast officially. Super excited to hang out with you again and get to share your story with our audience. So thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm stoked to finally have the chance to meet you, JD. I love your energy you bring on your Instagram page and your videos and everything. You seem super laid back, but also super smart and bring a lot to the table. So I'm excited.
It's super funny that we've done one other short-term rental episode before this, and it was pretty basic stuff. I think this is going to be a lot more like in-depth, informative, and kind of be able to share like the one-stop shop approach that you're being able to provide for people. But the interesting part is the one other person we interviewed about short-term rentals, his name was also JD.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, that's wild, right? And Alec wasn't here for that episode. So.
Nope. So this is me catching up on short-term rentals.
Definitely. So, JD, as you might know, we're going to start off each show by talking about what type of brew we will be sipping on, whether it's a nice cup of coffee, an ice cold beer, or something else. There's something different about having a conversation with your buddy with a drink in your hand. Our goal is to be able to provide some interviews and conversations with awesome guests while not taking ourselves too seriously, and most importantly, having some fun along the way. So, Alec, it looks like you brought orange juice today.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's called Drippy Popsicle. It is a fruited smoothie sour with orange, vanilla, and marshmallow. It is brewed by Abomination Brewing Company, located in North Haven, Connecticut. And yeah, it looks like straight up orange juice. So I was supposed to freeze it for an hour before drinking it, and it was supposed to become more slushy-like. I froze it for about half an hour. Did not reach that full hour. It is not very slushy-like, but it is really cold. So let's give it a taste. Oh, right off the bat, I get strong notes of vanilla. It is just a pungent of vanilla flavor with like a light orange. Don't really get the marshmallow too much, but it's very sweet. Definitely some lacto in there too. I can just feel it on my lips and stuff, but it's good. It's not bad. Kind of too sweet for my taste.
Does it taste like a melted popsicle?
Yeah, essentially.
Nice.
What are you drinking over there?
Well, today Alec brought me a beer called Fast Times West Coast IPA. It's a double IPA, so he's trying to get me drunk at 11 o'clock in the morning. It's by Vitamin C Brewing Company, C as in the ocean, out of Weymouth, Massachusetts. It's got Amarillo, Citra, Chinook, and Simcoe in it for the hops. Alec also brought me a dirty glass, so I did not pour it into it, and I'm going to drink it from the can.
I didn't clean the can either.
Oh. It's pretty boozy. They did not really hide much of the alcohol behind it. For a West Coast IPA, I definitely don't think it fits the style. Definitely tastes more like a hazy. It's pretty thick in mouthfeel as well. So I would say it kind of missed the mark on there. It says West Coast IPA written across the can. I think that's pretty false. We've had one thing by Vitamin C on here before, and I don't know. They're cool. I don't really know much about them, but
I bought it just because it's a spoof on Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which is one of my favorite movies, and that's the only reason I bought it. So.
Oh, interesting. Cool. JD, what you got?
So today I have a Boost energy drink, which also comes with like immune support and vitamins, sugar-free. I haven't had this flavor yet. It's rainbow candy, so let me give it a go. It's super sweet, a little sour. It tastes like pre-workout, right up my alley.
I love it. JD is like freaking yoked for those of you who can't see him. I noticed like on your and Mike's Instagram, you guys are always doing like some type of fitness stuff, and you guys just look like you get after it all the time. So I love it. It's inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah, we do everything we do with like a ton of passion. So we go hard with real estate. We go hard with our workouts. When we have fun, we go hard. It's a theme.
Work hard, play hard.
I love it. Cool. Well, JD, cheers, and thanks again for coming on the pod and hanging out with us, man. So let's kick things off by getting to know you a little bit better. We really like to kind of start by just learning how you grew up, specifically surrounding the area of money. So what does that look like?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up in a fairly small town. I mean, I know that's different for everyone what small town means. My graduating class in high school had 300 people in it. My parents, we lived in like a $200,000 house. My mom was the first person in our family to go to college. So we didn't have a ton of financial stability. My dad lost his job in the crisis of '08. He decided to go back to college. So we were like kind of in college at the same time, which was pretty cool. Not the same college. It would have been great to have classes together, but, yeah, so I come from a pretty humble background.
What state did you grow up in?
I grew up in Pennsylvania, bunch of farmland.
Did you ever feel like at a young age, like you kind of had that entrepreneur spirit? Like, were you ever out there trying to mow lawns or lemonade stand, anything like that?
Oh yeah. I have a good one for you guys. So when I was in middle school and high school, I would have my mom, buy candy from the grocery store whenever it was on sale for like 40 cents a pack. And then I would take it to school and I would sell like 10, 15 packs a day and make a couple $100 a month just selling candy, in class, on the bus, like whatever it was.
That's awesome, dude. I did the same exact thing in middle school. I grew up as a military kid, and the grocery store on base had candy, like bulk candy for really, really cheap, and would do the same thing. Like every recess or break, people were lining up at my lockers, and then I was like, my teacher started looking at me funny, and I was like, I'm pretty sure they think I'm like selling drugs out of my locker, so I think I like need to stop. But
Yeah, that's what happened to me too. The teacher shut me down. I was on a rhythm. I was auctioning it off in the class right before lunch, and I got a guy for like $20 for like something that cost me like $4, and I think she thought I was selling drugs because of the amount of money she saw exchanged. And she just shut me down. She's like, whatever you're doing, like stop. And that was my highest grossing class. I mean, right before lunch was when you could get them, so I had to shut down for that.
That's awesome. Period 5 with the best P&L. I love it.
I know, I love that story.
Come on, teachers. You should be promoting entrepreneurship, not shutting it down. Come on.
I think I was the kid buying the candy, so I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, after you're selling candy in school and stuff, what happened after high school? Did you go into continue to higher education? If not, what path did you take?
Yeah, so I went to college. I was gonna try to be an actuarial scientist, which for those of you guys who don't know, it's just working with data, just being like kind of a freak in the sheets, really good with spreadsheets, working for pricing insurance and whatnot. I pivoted to math and finance, got both degrees. And then once I got out of college, I actually just like kind of went into more of an entrepreneurial role and ditched that stuff. I was managing a gym for a while, doing sales, making a really good amount of money, but I had to leave it eventually because I like yearned for something more businessy than just that gym sales role.
Cool. So I guess like when did you first learn about the power of real estate, and what were like kind of the early days of investing in real estate like for you?
Yeah, sure. So it kind of all happened right around when I quit the job at the gym. I was maybe 21 years old, making like $100,000 a year, on pace to go up to 200, 300 in the next couple of years, just dominating the sales. But I left. I took a road trip across the country, 6 weeks, just circled like the entire United States, and realized like I just don't want to work in an office style job, and I need to figure out the fastest way to get out of it. To truly live free, and see what's out there. So after I got back, I ended up getting like a role more in math and finance, so I could get a good W-2, start buying real estate. I was just reading every book that I could, listening to every podcast I could. I ended up having a 2-hour commute to work each way, and I just ripped up Bigger Pockets podcast the whole time. I was renting from a friend who was house hacking, so like all the stars kind of aligned, like for me to get a taste of what real estate was, and I knew that was where I needed to go.
I keep telling many people we need to coin some type of term for the bigger pockets rabbit hole, because it's, you know, it's talked to so many people. They're like, I found bigger pockets, and the next thing you know, I was 5,000 hours deep in podcast episodes and audiobooks. And it truly is one of those rabbit holes. You listen to one and you're like, especially from like Brandon Turner, he's so good at just like grabbing you and just like sinking you into it, you know? So I love it. So when did you land your first property? What does that look like?
Yeah, so that was in April of 2018. So I had originally been looking at multifamilies. I was under contract on a duplex that was only 220,000, but the rents were going to be about 3,600. So it was crushing it from the numbers aspect. But a couple of days before closing, did the final walkthrough, and part of the roof had caved in from a rainstorm that week. So I kind of dodged a blessing in disguise. Starting with my first one, I realized like I don't really want something that might have issues. So I started like touring some new construction stuff in Philly. Wanted a safer start. I ended up buying a 3-bedroom house that I converted into 4 bedrooms by putting an extra wall up into a room to create a suite. And I was making an extra $400 a month and living there for free. So it was a good house hack. The numbers weren't as crazy as they were on the duplex, but everything was brand new under warranty. And in Philly, you don't have taxes, property taxes on new construction. So I was able to get some decent cash flow still.
Oh, okay. Are you still buying a good amount of new construction in Philly?
I slowed down a bit. So I mostly do short-term rental, and that house is how I got started with it. I was waiting for a buddy to move into my place. He was telling me he was Airbnb out the rooms in his place until he could move because he didn't want to find new roommates for the last couple months of his lease. So I did that on a spare room in my house. I ended up renting out just a spare room for like $2,000 a month on Airbnb, which covered my entire 4-bedroom house mortgage. And that's kind of how I got the bug for it. From there, I was buying a lot of new construction to do the same thing, because if a bedroom could cover the mortgage, what could an entire 4-bedroom house do? And I kind of followed that path. But Philly has regulations coming in on short-term rentals, as a lot of cities are discussing, which had me shift to the Poconos market where regulations are already set.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
What kind of regulations are you talking about?
So in Philly, about 70 to 90% of the Airbnbs will be wiped out because you either need to be in a commercial building or a certain zoning to continue to operate a short-term rental, or there's a way to get a permit if it's your primary residence, but it's very difficult to obtain. So you're really limited to either one residential property for short-term rental, or you have to be in a really expensive zoned area to keep moving.
Dang. So is that kind of making you have to pivot with some of your plans and sell some of the properties you own in Philly?
Yes and no. So I just pivoted what I was searching for. Like my partner and I in the short-term rental management business have been pursuing things that are zoned correctly to convert like old factories into boutique hotels, things that will never have the regulatory restrictions and that will do very well. And we started doing that about a year and a half before the regulations came into play, once there was some wind of what might be coming. And at the same time, we also pivoted out to the Poconos market to look for things. And even with that, residential is a super safe play in the Poconos. But because I have so many single families now, I've started taking on bigger projects that are zoned commercial, just to try to get a jump on the regulations.
Yeah, definitely. So you don't see the regulations changing in the Poconos because they're kind of set? Are they set for like an extended period of time, or just because it's a traditional vacation market anyways?
There's two reasons. One, it's a traditional vacation market. Like that economy absolutely thrives on short-term rentals. It makes up just about everything there. Whereas in Philadelphia, the amount of taxes coming in from short-term rentals, even though it's like $12 million a year, it's maybe 3% of the city's budget. So for them to chop that versus where in the Poconos, I don't know the exact number, but I would imagine it's got to be closer to like 30, 40, 50% of the area's budget and how they generate revenue up there. So I think the Poconos is safe for that reason. And then also a lot of the HOAs survive off of the rentals. Most rentals up there have like a fee per stay, which you underwrite for, but the HOAs are making a ton of money and thriving off the fact that those fees are coming in. They're not going to change the rules, and they're gonna lobby the other way if any talk comes into play.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I know I've heard about a lot of new laws going into effect just because of how much Airbnb is blown up and things like that, but I never quite knew what rules and laws were going into it. So it's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. So I know kind of, most real estate investors have their niche or their preferred, I guess, style of real estate investing. And it sounds like yours has been short-term rentals. Why do you feel like that's your preferred method? And why are short-term rentals so lucrative?
Yeah, sure. So when I was first getting into real estate, like Bigger Pockets just pushes multifamily and Burr method, which are really great methods. There's nothing wrong with them. But what I saw when I started doing short term rentals is instead of having to be in real estate for 20 years and have a couple $100 of cash flow on hundreds of units to get to where I wanted to be, if I could generate $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month in free cash flow on a short term rental, I didn't need nearly as many units to get to where I wanted to be. So when I had 6 short-term rentals, that's when I quit my W-2 job where I was making 80,000 a year because it was already fully replaced and then some, which just freed up my time to go chase real estate further or travel or do whatever I wanted to do.
Got it. Okay. That's awesome, man. When did you end up getting your license and kind of decide, hey, you wanted to also be involved on the, I guess, the sales aspect of it?
Yeah, so I did that right after I got my second house because I realized if I'm going to be buying houses, even if I buy one a year, it'll cover my the cost to get the real estate license. And as I developed and realized like more people are going to want to have help with this, like I'd love to help my friends do the same thing. So most of the connections I get now are like warm referrals from either people I helped. Like I don't actively like chase business, which is nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I think that is a great transition for our next question is like, so I think you do an incredible job finding great properties and underwriting them for investors to review. How do you decide which homes on the market will be good short-term rentals and how are you helping people find those?
Yeah, sure. So to find them, it's you just have to do the dirty work and just look at everything that you can. If things have those key components that you look for, so it depends on your market. Every market's a little different, but just a general oversight of it is you want to make sure that whatever you're offering is going to be like a really elite offering compared to other people. And that could be, it doesn't need to be a $2 million multi-mansion with all the bells and whistles. If you're looking in the 300,000 price point, you just want to make sure you have cool things compared to other houses in the same price point. So in the Poconos, for example, you might want that wooden look, a hot tub there, like space to either put a pool table or games. If you guys have looked in the Smokies, like every house on that market is like 800,000 plus, and you have to have a pool table, a hot tub, sometimes even a movie theater to just get reservations because everyone you're competing against has it. And a reason I really like the Poconos market is it's a much older market that hasn't had a ton of investment yet, so that most of your competition are just mom and pops, like people with much older houses that are just renting it out to cover their seasons. You don't have all these special amenities in there yet. So if you're one of the few houses that has those amenities, you're going to stay booked, and you're going to stay booked at the highest rates.
Got it. Okay, so what is like your criteria? I guess obviously looking for something that is going to be able to provide some either space for a hot tub or pool table, things like that. But what are like some of the other major highlights that you're looking for when underwriting these properties?
Yeah, so I think space is a key component, just so you have room to kind of run away with whatever design changes you want to make. Usually, you're able to sleep more people in that fashion, or you want the house to be charming. Like, I think the fastest way to understand what to look for is you need to look as if you're a guest. Like, put yourself in the mindset of a guest. It's if you're just going off of a spreadsheet, I think that's when it's a lot less fun. The first criteria I analyze is would I like try to rent this place and stay there with my buddies if I was going up there. If that's not the case, then it's not going to be a good short term rental.
Totally, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we've even rented in Tahoe and it had a pool table, had a movie theater, everything you're naming it's had before. So I definitely see why that makes sense. And I'm sure Tahoe has already been kind of overridden with not mom and pop rentals that they've already had the big investors come in. So it's here kind of fun to hear you talk about Poconos?
Yeah, Poconos.
Poconos, yeah. It seems like that is like a good untainted area to get in right now.
And I think a lot of people, especially out here on the West Coast, like don't necessarily know about the Poconos. So real quick, I guess for the listeners, like what the heck is the Poconos?
Well, it's funny you say that because I often compare it to either Big Bear or Lake Tahoe. I call it like the poor man's version just because it's so much cheaper, but it's a very similar like reason for escaping there. There's a ton of ski resorts, there's hiking trails, there's lakes. So you have a ton of stuff to do, and it's super close to New York City and it's super close to Philadelphia, an hour and a half from each of them. So the same way people from all over California visit one of those two destinations as their place to go, that's how it is for the East Coast.
Nice.
Got it.
So
Okay.
Tahoe of the East Coast, easy to remember.
So if I was gonna fly into Pennsylvania to go to the Poconos, what airport would I have to fly into? What's the closest one?
I would say you're going to want to fly into either Newark, which is like North Jersey, maybe like an hour out of the Poconos, or Philly, which is like an hour 15, hour 30.
Got it.
Not too bad. There are a couple small airports in the Poconos, but I don't know if you're going to be able to hit that from California.
Got it. Okay. Cool. I don't know.
Cool. So I mean, after you buy these short-term rentals, you definitely need to get them all furnished. Do you go out there and furnish them yourselves? Do you go through another company that furnishes them, or how's that work out?
Yeah, so to give you background on how like I really got this whole thing moving so heavily is I started managing for a couple of friends. And when I did that, I ended up having between the 6 houses I had and 4 houses for a friend. I started getting overwhelmed and realizing I quit my job to just replace it with another job. So I need help. I need to get some other people in. And if I'm going to keep buying houses, I need to set up these systems so that I'm not going in and furnishing all these units myself. So my brother started helping me out a ton. And at this point, I think he's done like 150 houses in the past 12 months of furnishing and design. So him and his team will go in and get a house set up in 3 to 5 days. It could be like a 4-bedroom, 2,000 square foot house, and it'll be fully everything delivered, assembled, furnished, photos done, listing ready, like good to go.
In
And
5 days. That just sorry to interrupt you. That just blows my mind. You shared that stat with me earlier, and just thinking about like decking out a house and having it fully ready to go in like 4 to 5 days is just that's a huge accomplishment.
it's crazy. Like I used to do them myself or with a friend, and it would take a week, 2 weeks. And that's like staying there all day, every day that you're not working on something else. Like it's a hassle. So to have him like kind of master that, and he started out taking like 2 weeks, but now they've got the systems down. They've done so many that they're able to fly through it.
And I've seen some of the pictures and designs that he's done, and it's incredible. Like I mean, you're talking about like even some of the photos where it's like there's a book, there's the coffee, you can see the steam coming off the coffee. Like just when you're looking at these listings on like Airbnb, there's a reason that people are gonna pick it, and I think like so much of that has to do with the photos, the design, and what he's doing seems to definitely be working. So, props to your brother.
I'll tell him you said that.
So we've got the house, we've got it furnished. Now what? I understand, you're also helping people list and run these properties. How do you handle everything from like cleaning to adjusting rates to all the fun stuff behind the scenes of running an Airbnb short-term rental?
Yeah, sure. So going back to when I started, I was doing everything myself, all of those aspects, answering messages. When I first brought on help, the first department I set up was someone to help me with the messaging and interacting with the guests to give them a great experience. And since I started, I basically created a new department for everything that goes into short-term rentals. So we have a full-time maintenance manager who handles all maintenance requests. And short-term rentals, it's very different than a long-term rental where someone might call you and you have a couple days to go fix it. Like if someone's staying for a weekend, you've got to either fix it like on the spot or within a couple hours, because that could be, if you wait a day or two, that's half to almost their whole trip that's just ruined. Same with cleaning. Everything's taken care of. I have a department who schedules everything, manages all the cleaners, makes sure everything's stocked. And this all came into play because as an investor, like I didn't want to be dealing with these things. So we manage it the same way to just make sure everything's taken care of and you can just collect the check when you're done.
That's awesome. What's the management company called?
It's called Bespoke Stay.
Bespoke Stay. So what are, I guess, some of the ways that expenses change from like a long-term rental and a short-term rental? Because I feel like, I don't know, for a long-term rental, you have tenant turnover and it's like, okay, I need to replace the carpets, the hole that they punched in the wall never repaired. Maybe some of the cabinets that they ruined, get the dog pee staying out of the house. Like, how do some of the expenses differ from a long-term rental and a short-term rental?
Yeah, so I'll say the expenses are definitely a lot higher. You're paying for a lot more things, whether it's just the cleaning or supplies, like whatever it is, like the underwriting's a lot heavier and the management is more expensive. So I would say like the general rule of thumb I take is if property can make X amount, $10,000, you're probably keeping about 65% of that money at the end of the day. So what you're going to keep is like maybe 6,500 once you pay all those fees. But the nice thing with short-term rentals versus a long-term is the cash flow is much higher, and that's because even if you're only keeping an extra 1,000 over a long-term rental, the long-term rental was making you $200 a month. The short-term rental is making you $1,200 a month. So your cash flow is 6x, and what you're actually looking for in scaling your business is a lot higher. And the other thing is guests treat things different than tenants do. Everyone puts down a security deposit. They're only there for a couple days. They don't move in and make themselves at home to the point where they have pets destroying the carpet. There's a year of time where you're not in or out of there. The cleaners are in and out every couple of days in your rental, making sure everything's perfect for the next guest. Anything that happens to the house, if a guest punches a hole in the wall, you've got insurance. You can get a claim filed with Airbnb or whatever short-term rental platform. You get that money paid right back. If your tenant punches a hole in the wall or does a lot of damage, you're going to have to take them to small claims if they're not willing to pay you.
Got it. So does the person who's renting the Airbnb, are they the ones paying these fees, or do you have to go through insurance every time? Like, can you at least be like, hey guys, like you broke one of the chairs, like you need to pay for it? Or do you kind of just say, oh, okay, they broke a chair, I'm going to like go through insurance?
Yeah, so the insurance is like much smoother. Like, I don't know about your experiences with insurance, but mine with like any type of car insurance or home insurance, like the process is very overwhelming. They need proof of everything. It takes a really long time to resolve. With Airbnb, you just request it. You request the money from them first. If they say they're not going to pay you, then Airbnb just pays you out as long as you can show proof of pictures that something was damaged and like a receipt that you bought it. So like a wall, you wouldn't need a receipt. You just need a picture that the wall was destroyed.
Do you have any wild experiences where maybe somebody threw a big party at one of your rentals or just didn't want to leave and maybe you had to call the cops to give them to leave or something?
Yeah, I can definitely tell you like plenty of horror stories. I've hosted over 25,000 reservations at this point. So
wow.
There's going to be a few bad ones.
Yeah, so you can vet guess as much as you want, and I'm sure the number of things we've prevented and the horror stories we prevented are crazy. I would say the worst thing that's ever happened is I had one house where there was a party, and I guess they were dancing on the countertops or something, but the entire granite countertop broke, which was going to cost me about $4,000 to fix. And I ended up getting a claim that covered like a little more than that. So it worked out, but you can get some crazy stuff.
I'm having flashbacks of me being in Cabo dancing on a table that we rented from a house. And now I'm thinking, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have done that. It didn't break, but that's a good chance it could.
Oh, Jesus. So I guess like typical insurance, when you make a claim, it tends to go up. Is that something similar that happens with Airbnb? Like if you make a claim, is your like premium going to go up, or is it kind of just a more like set in stone type thing?
Not at all. So really the insurance works a couple different ways. It's either through the platform like Airbnb, VRBO, or we take a ton of manual reservations. Like about 30% of our stays are just like friends, family referrals from past guests. We have a third-party insurance that covers that, but the premiums don't go up on anything. There's no premium with the platforms. And then with our third party, it's just a pay per stay. The thing you just have to be careful of, and like the reason you can't cheat the system is if you're like making claims every time. It's like if you have 100 reservations and 96 of them you claimed money for, like you're probably doing something wrong or trying to cheat the system. But if you have 100 reservations and you have like 3 claims that you've made, you're good. Essentially what they do is they flag your account if they think you're abusing it, and they either stop paying you or they pay you out a lot less on different claims. So you just have to, if you're being honest, it's a very honor system type of thing. You're going to be okay. If you're trying to cheat the system, you're going to get flagged, and then you won't be okay even when things do go wrong.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
Cool.
So we talked a little bit about, sorry, go ahead, Alec.
I'm actually just kind of wondering, I know you said you're in Pennsylvania. That's where your first short-term rental was. And now somehow you ended up in Hawaii.
Yeah, so the only house I've ever sold, I ended up just using the funds to buy a penthouse in Hawaii. And I've probably spent like a year out of the last 2 in Hawaii. Great place to be. Awesome place to be. I've had some short-term rentals out there. We have short-term rentals all over the country, but like that's just one of my favorite places to be. you guys humbled me by saying I seem like a really like casual, chill person at the beginning of the podcast, and that definitely comes from like my love for Hawaii. Like I feel like I fit in there pretty well, except for I still have like the hustle of the East Coast. So like I'm uneasy wherever I am. If I'm in the East Coast, I wish things were a little more chill. If I'm in Hawaii, I wish things were moving a little faster. So it gets difficult, and I just end up bouncing back and forth between the two.
Hawaiian time is real. I used to live there for 4 years, and it's definitely it's a real thing for sure. Is your property is your short term rental property management company actively working in different states, or is it just up in Pennsylvania?
No, we're all across the country. We have them in Arizona, we have them in Florida, we have them Jersey Shore. We're all over the state of Pennsylvania. That's just where we started, and we've expanded all over. We at one point had units in Costa Rica, which was pretty cool. We even had a communications team that was able to speak Spanish as well. So we've been all over the place.
Wow, that's cool. And how long again was it by the time a guest sends a message through Airbnb? What's your guys' like response time? I remember you saying something pretty awesome.
4 minutes, and that's any time of day. So we have probably 2,000 messages come in a day across all the units, and all of those messages are responded to within an average of 4 minutes.
That's incredible.
That's nuts. At 2 a.m, someone's sending a message about something and get a response in 4 minutes. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's awesome. So let's, I guess, transition a little bit here. I know we've talked about why short-term rentals can be so lucrative and such a great asset class. What are some of the risks behind owning a short-term rental? Like I think for me, I'm thinking like, oh crap, like what if all of a sudden one of these months, like people just don't book it? Like what happens? And what are some other risks that might be associated with it?
Yeah, sure. And that's a very real risk. And I think what people have to keep in mind is with a long-term rental, you're getting paid the same amount every month. But with a short-term rental, there's going to be seasons that are higher, seasons that are lower. So like the first 3 years I was in short-term rentals, the slowest month I ever had, I had a house that only cash flowed $700 a month. But then there were better months that the cash flow was $4,000 or $5,000 a month. So there's definitely real risk. And when COVID hit, that's when that rental was doing so low. COVID hit and I was barely able to cover the mortgage. So there's definitely real risks. Like if the travel industry gets hit, then maybe you're going to slow down. And that made me realize that I don't want to be positioned in like premier vacation destinations like Hawaii, as much as I do destinations that are within driving distance. Like when COVID happened and everything slows down, I can't imagine a worse event than COVID for short-term rentals.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So like somewhere like Hawaii, where it's really tough to get onto a flight, everyone's wary of traveling, like that amount of travel will slow down. Same with any type of recession, like that super luxury travel will slow down. Sure, some places will still get rented, but the amount of demand goes down so far that not everyone can survive. Whereas if you're in like a driving distance destination, people are still going to take weekend trips. It's human nature to want to travel. So I try to stay in vacation markets that are drivable from major cities.
Got it. That makes sense. Okay. How do you see, I think the entire country is pretty worried about like, I guess just the next recession or, a crippling of the housing market or whatever. What do you think is going to be the impact on the short-term rental market? Just if the economy does decide to tank a little bit, do you feel like people will still travel and want to get away? What are kind of some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, sure. So the way I see it is demand will go down. Hospitality is usually the first to kind of get hit in terms of a recession. But those destinations that are drivable or cheaper or more affordable will hold up a lot better than those luxury destinations. And that's kind of the stance I've taken on it. And the other thing to remember too is flipping and like BRRRR style investing is a lot harder with the way the rate market is. And I think now more than ever, short-term rentals make the most sense to park your money as long as the numbers work. If you're underwriting and you think you're going to make $1,200 a month, even if travel dips down and now your cash flow is $200 a month, or even if you're just covering the mortgage till the recession ends, like that's not a bad place to be, as opposed to trying to wait years and years to get into something.
No, definitely. That makes sense. I know kind of out here, especially in Cali, and I guess like probably a lot of the bigger cities, we're seeing a pretty steep decline in prices, and the average days on market are skyrocketing. What are you kind of seeing out that way?
Yeah, the market's definitely slowed down. There was a point last year where I could help people put in like 20 offers a week, all of them over ask, and maybe one would get accepted. Now there might be only a couple offers stripping in. You can sometimes get people below ask. The market has definitely eased up. And I think what's changed is it's a huge advantage to be a cash buyer in today's market. Whereas being a cash buyer when the prices were so inflated, just it didn't make sense other than to try to beat out all the competing offers. But now you can catch people who really need to sell, offer them cash and get in, and then you'll be good to refinance out later. Same with just buying something, you can refinance out later and just have a lower purchase price. So I think it's a different entry point. Like to me, real estate is always shifting in what strategy makes the most sense. And every strategy is kind of equal. It's just there's a timing to which one you use.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're in this weird spot where you can almost use this like Burr style strategy, but with rates. I forget where I heard someone talking about it not too long ago, but we need to coin a term for it because again, if you're getting in somewhere that's still cash flowing at a 8% interest rate, like if rates ever go back down to the threes and fours and you're able to refinance, like that property is just going to be so much better, which I think is cool.
Yeah, totally. Like before, it made sense to just like, even if you were overpaying a little bit, your rate was so low that the cash flows were super high. And you just have to know going in that you're holding for like the long-term perspective. Now you have to know going in that if it works now, like you said, you can refi out later and it's really going to work because you've locked in such a low price point.
Totally. Love it.
Cool. All right. So say someone's got their cash, they're ready to get a short-term rental. What's the first thing they should do?
I would identify a market you want to be in. I think a lot of times you have to understand like why you're investing. If it's just for the cash flow, then just pick a cash flow heavy market. If you want somewhere that's going to be better for appreciation, you got to find the right market for that. If you want somewhere that you want to use, then pick somewhere that you can get to and make sense for you to go up on weekends you want to use it, and then rent it out to cover it the rest of the year. So the first thing is you just have to be true to like where you want to be. And then once you figure out what market that is, talk to people who are in that market. I would say it's good to talk to agents in that market just to get a feel for how the market is. But more than that, I would talk to investors in the market so that you can see like kind of how they see the market, what's going on with it, where you should be looking, because they're unbiased. They're just going to tell you what they've experienced and what the best things to look at are.
Cool. I love it. I guess two more questions before our lightning round. One, why don't you share with the audience the Live Free movement and kind of your vision behind it? And then two, maybe just share what you're up to these days. Any big investments on the horizon or anything like that?
Yeah, sure. So the Live Free movement, a lot of it got inspired from that 6-week road trip I took. I was very grateful to have an experience like that, to see different areas of the country and spend some time in different places and just know that there's a different life out there. So I really took it and forged the entrepreneurial spirit with the idea of like living free, having your assets pay for you. And myself and all the people in the movement are just actively pursuing entrepreneurial ventures that will allow them to retire before they're 30 as opposed to waiting till they're 59 and a half and their retirement funds come in. So it's really about living free and buying time freedom by using assets to pay for it.
I love it. And what are you up to these days?
Yeah, so I've got a couple really cool projects going on. The most notorious one is a 43 unit. It's 43 units spread across 11 acres in the Poconos. It was an old resort. They converted it to long-term rentals. So I'm going to go in and convert it back to short-term. There's a bunch of little bungalows spread across the 11 acres. So just like really cool, like cabin cottage setups that would be prime for short-term rentals. It's about a $5 million deal. So I'm closing on that this week. Going to put a couple $100,000 into renovating it and getting that place kicked up. I was just in Texas to look at 200 acres of land to kind of do the same thing. I'm just always looking at deals that are like cool at this point. Like in single family houses, I've lost interest in just because I know they work, and it's so much paperwork to get a single family house done at this point. Whereas if I'm going to go through the entire loan process and try to take something out, I'd rather take something much bigger out and attack something that I've never done before that's a little more challenging and really turn it into something cool.
That's awesome. So all 43 units will be separate short-term rentals?
Yeah, yeah, and they're all rented out right now, so it's pretty cool how I can just kind of move the tenants out who are month-to-month leases, go in and renovate those units, and throw them up on the short-term market once they're done. So I have a lot of space and buffer. Like the holding costs really aren't there because the rent is coming in to cover the holding costs, and I can just do the renovation on what I need to do as I go.
Wow, that's awesome.
Congratulations on that. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool. Well, I really again love the live free movement idea and just mindset. I think it's really cool. I would love to be able to take a 6-week road trip across the United States. So that's cool, man. And yeah, keep it up.
You always have some spots to stay on the East Coast.
Yeah, man. We do you ever do any like meetups or I guess like any like real estate events or anything like that?
Yeah, we go to them all the time. We were at one yesterday. A lot of stuff on the East Coast, some conventions in Vegas every year. And then there's meetups in Hawaii all the time. I should be speaking at one in January. So if you want to come back to the island, come check out an event. That would be the one to do.
Cool. We'll be there in February and in June. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we need to add January as well. But keep me in the loop, especially if you're ever in Vegas, because we go there pretty often and it's an hour flight from us. So yeah, let us know anytime you're out this way.
Yeah, there's quarterly events in Vegas. So I'll let you know when the next one is. Hawaii, they do it every month. It's called Deals in Aloha. Wow. So when you're there in February, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be awesome. Cool, man. Sweet. Are you ready for our lightning round?
Yep. I'm ready if JD is. All right, let's do this. What is your favorite beer or beverage?
Oh man, I would have to go with the Bang energy drink is my go-to.
Which flavor?
Which flavor Bang? There is like 100 for sure.
There are so many flavors. I like the key lime pie a lot, or the birthday cake. Birthday cake specifically because it came out on my birthday, which is the same birthday as Tom Brady. So there's a lot going into that drink for me.
Heck yeah. I love the cherry blade lemonade. I think that's my favorite.
I'm a weird one. I like cotton candy.
Cotton candy?
Oh, cotton candy's so good.
What is your favorite book?
My favorite book is Essentialism, which I'm not sure a lot of people have heard of, because I started reading that right before I started the short-term rental business. And it really helped me like kind of pave the path that I wanted to go to. And it's really all about focusing your energy on one thing and only the most important things that are going on. So it kind of turns you into a recluse for a little bit. You stop answering people as often, but you really get caught up in a lot less of just like the things that kind of bog you down, and you really get into all the things that are most important. Spend some time thinking on stuff. It's Essentialism by Greg McKeown.
I'll add that to my list.
All right, so I was writing down. All right, what is your favorite place you visit or place you want to visit next?
Hawaii is my favorite place to be. And then I really want to go visit Bali because I feel like it has a lot of the same like beautiful qualities. It's just dirt cheap to be, and you can really kind of get a ton of space away from technology, clear your mind and think about, just get time away, you know? You guys work a lot, you guys move fast. Just having some space and somewhere beautiful is a great thing.
Totally. I dig it. All right. Last but not least, what does retirement look like / mean to you?
Retirement is the ability to do whatever you want with every day. In the sense that if you want to like chase a passion and work on something, you want to fix up an old car or travel, whatever the case it is, it's you now have 100% control over your time every day. I think it's kind of mixed up that people think retirement means you stop working. Because I don't think anyone who's an entrepreneur ever stops working. They like the challenge. They like working towards something. So retirement is having the ability to choose what you're working on without any financial constraints.
I love it. And I think you're doing that right now.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Cool.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, JD, one last time, where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram or YouTube at Live Free with JD. That's definitely the best place to go to find us. Bespokestay.com for short-term rental management. And that's it. I gotta set up a time to come out to Cali and visit you guys.
Hey,
It'll probably happen before Bali.
Yeah, any time, man. Let us know. We're up here in Sonoma County, the beautiful wine and beer country. Yep. So whenever, let us know. You definitely got a spot to stay as well. So
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have tried a bunch of different stuff, sipping on a couple different things. Just let me know what to try out.
Oh,
yeah, we'll do. We'll do. Well, thanks again, JD. You've been awesome, and look forward to continuing to work with you, get to know you, and hang out. So
Yeah. Thanks so much for being on the show, JD. Appreciate you coming on today.
Alrighty, Alec, what did you think of our buddy JD?
My favorite thing about this podcast is that you usually tell me their names, you tell me what they do, and I get a certain picture of what I think they're going to look like and talk when I see them. And then when I actually see them, I'm always like, okay, cool. It's usually never what I imagine. But with JD, it's awesome because he's just, you'd see him walking down the street. He's got long hair, a little bit of a facial hair, just this cool looking down to earth guy. And then he just hits you with all this knowledge. Just so intelligent, knows everything about short-term rentals, and it's just incredible. He spoke so well. You can just tell he's passionate about everything he does, and he just seems like a good friend too. It's like, I really like JD.
Yeah, totally. The type of people we'd love to hang out with for sure. It's cool that, again, they're just a big group of friends that hangs out, talks about real estate, talks about living free and doing what you want every day. I love how JD shared how they kind of go hard at everything that they do. And you can definitely see it. Like, again, when they choose to like go after something, they go after it hard. And I think like this whole umbrella of the short-term rental space that they have going on in the Poconos is just incredible, and the proof is in the pudding, you know. So
Yeah.
definitely enjoyed hanging out. And if you guys want to get involved with short-term rentals, if you're interested about maybe getting started with one of your own, send me an email or a DM or a text message, whatever it is, and I'd be happy to get you in touch with JD so that he can walk you through some more details about what the process looks like and how you might be able to get started in your first short-term rental as well.
Yeah. So please message us, quit your job, go on that road trip around the United States, and get into some short-term rentals.
Just a little bit, I guess, peeling back the curtain, JD is actually helping me and a buddy get involved with short-term rental in the Poconos right now. We just wrote our second offer today on a spot out there that hopefully works out, and we'll have ours up and running, hopefully, I don't know, by December, January, something like that. And maybe you guys can stay there one of these days. Also, shout out to the Weekly Juice boys. Thank you for putting us in touch with JD and letting us get to know him as well, and sharing that contact because, yeah, it's been really cool. So you ready to get out of here, buddy?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
All right. Once again, thanks for listening to the Brewbucks podcast. My name is Jacob.
And I'm Alec,
Signing off.
Hey, I'm on vacation every single day because I love my occupation. Hey, I'm on vacation. If you don't like your life, then you should go and change it.
Hey everyone, if you've been enjoying what you've been hearing, please head over to whatever platform you're listening on and give us a 5-star rating and review. We would really appreciate it, as this helps our podcast get more traffic and allows us to continue to have quality guests on the show for your listening pleasure.
Don't forget to follow us on social media either. Follow us on Twitter at BrewbucksPod and on Instagram at BrewbucksPodcast.
This episode of the Brewbucks podcast was brought to you by Left Coast Finance, financial coaching for individuals and families who are looking to get out of debt, budget like a boss, or even learn to invest. Learn more at leftcoastfinance.com.